Celtic's first signing of the summer could be just hours away. Camilo Duran has left Karabag's training camp and travelled to Scotland to undergo his medical, but there is a major UEFA deadline that makes the next 48 hours absolutely critical. We have also got a former Celtic striker's future described as complicated after his time at Parkhead. Chris Sutton has absolutely destroyed a former Celtic managerial target on social media, and a Celtic journalist has given his verdict on whether the board are finally starting to listen to fans. Let's get into it. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Chris Sutton has launched a scathing attack on Roberto Martinez following Portugal's World Cup exit last night, and there is a very relevant Celtic connection to this story. Martinez, of course, was one of the names heavily linked with the Celtic manager's job before Martin O'Neill was confirmed in the role. His agent had denied any contact. Celtic supporters were split on whether he was the right man, and ultimately the whole discussion became irrelevant when the board moved to keep O'Neill on permanently. But the speculation around him was very real at the time. Now, watching from the outside, Sutton has seen enough. Portugal were knocked out of the World Cup by Spain in the round of 16 on Monday evening. Sutton was furious with the way Martinez managed the game, and in particular with his decision to keep Goncalo Ramos on the bench, despite Portugal desperately needing a goal. Instead, Ronaldo played the full 90 minutes throughout a performance that Sutton found deeply frustrating. Posting on X after the final whistle, the former Celtic striker was utterly ruthless. He wrote, "Roberto Martinez is an embarrassment. Goncalo Ramos stays on the bench. Ronaldo does what he wants again. Portugal were a freak show, a circus. Martinez so weak. That is about as damning as it gets. And it gives Celtic supporters plenty of satisfaction knowing the club went in a very different direction with Martin O'Neill." Martinez was seen by some fans as a progressive, modern appointment. Others were never convinced. After last night, Sutton is firmly in the second camp, and from where Celts sit, that one worked out just fine. Now for the main story, as Celtic are on the verge of signing their first player of the summer, with Camilo Duran reported to have already left Karabag's pre-season training camp and travelled to Scotland to undergo his medical. According to Azerbaijani outlet Sport Info, the Colombian striker is expected to complete his medical over today and tomorrow before signing a 3-year contract at Celtic Park, with the club holding an option to extend the deal by a further 12 months. Duran had an outstanding season with Karabag last year, scoring 15 goals across all competitions, including 5 in the Champions League. He has been one of Martin O'Neill's priority targets throughout the summer, and the news that he has physically left Azerbaijan to come to Scotland is the clearest signal yet that a deal is close to being done. One point of note is the reported fee. Sport Info are stating that Karabag will receive around €5 million for the striker, which is higher than the £3 million Celtic were previously reported to be targeting. Whether the final figure includes add-ons and performance bonuses is not yet confirmed. If the deal goes through, it marks a significant moment for the summer. Celtic's first competitive fixture is approaching fast. The squad needs strengthening across multiple positions, and getting the first signing over the line tends to unblock the rest of the window. Supporters have been waiting a long time for this. It looks like the wait is almost over. In other news, the Duran deal has an important deadline attached to it that Celtic absolutely cannot afford to miss, and it adds real urgency to getting the transfer completed in the next 48 hours. Karabag begin their Europa League first qualifying round campaign on Thursday night against Icelandic side Vestri. Under UEFA regulations, if Duran takes to the pitch in that fixture, he would be ineligible to play for Celtic in European qualifying this season. The rule is clear: a player cannot represent 2 clubs in the qualifying rounds of UEFA competition in the same season. If he plays for Karabag on Thursday and then joins Celtic afterwards, he could still feature domestically and in the Champions League phase if the Celts reach it, but he would not be available for the Champions League playoff, which is one of the most critical fixtures on the calendar. For Martin O'Neill, signing a striker who is immediately unavailable for the playoff tie would be a significant problem. Celtic have made Champions League qualification a stated priority this season. Losing your new number one attacking option for that tie before he has even kicked a ball would be far from ideal. The fact that Duran has now left Qarabağ's training camp entirely and is reportedly already in Scotland strongly suggests both clubs are aware of this deadline and are working to beat it. The next 48 hours could define not just the transfer itself, but Celtic's entire European preparation. In other news, Thomas Kankara is facing a very uncertain summer, with his situation at Borussia Mönchengladbach described as complicated following his short spell at Celtic. Kankara joined Celtic on loan in January and showed some promising moments before an injury cut his time at Parkhead short. He scored twice and set up two more, including an assist at Tynecastle against Hearts, but the injury ruled him out of the crucial run-in that delivered the title, and with Celtic's attacking options being reassessed under O'Neill, the club chose not to make the deal permanent at the end of the season. Now back in Germany, Kankara is in limbo. Borussia Mönchengladbach are reportedly keen to move him on this summer to reduce their squad numbers, but his recent surgery for a torn adductor muscle has made that task significantly harder. Czech outlet In Football described his situation as complicated, with potential buying clubs likely to be cautious about the ongoing recovery. The 25-year-old needs regular first-team football. He has the quality to contribute at a decent level when fit, but the combination of his injury record and a lack of consistent form at Celtic has left his market value in a difficult place. There is no suggestion Celtic are looking to bring him back. With Camilo Duran potentially arriving imminently, the forward positions are being addressed elsewhere. But for Kankara himself, this summer needs to deliver some kind of answer about where his career goes next. Lastly, Celtic journalist Mark Hendry has weighed in on the club's board this morning, and his assessment is measured but pointed. The headline is that the board may finally be starting a conversation with fans, but Hendry is clear that a single meeting does not fix a summer of silence. The piece centres on a statement released by the Association of Irish Celtic Supporters Clubs, who confirmed that during Celtic's visit to Ireland ahead of tonight's Shelbourne friendly, Brian Wilson, Michael Nicholson and Martin O'Neill met with supporters to discuss transfers, communication and the direction of the club. Crucially, Hendry notes that it was Celtic who reached out to arrange the meeting, not the fan group who had to chase for attention. Hendry writes that it may represent a small but meaningful shift in how the board is approaching relations with the support, but he is careful not to overstate it. The fan media ban remains in place. Nicholson, who should be the face of the club's transfer and communication strategy, has been largely absent from public-facing moments. The head of supporter engagement promised by the club has still not been appointed. His conclusion is that this was a baby step in the right direction and that more has to follow. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.